I can see the tip of my toes. So when I try to widen the toes away from each other, the mind goes to the tip where the maximum movement is seen. But I want to remind myself the root of the movement physically is in the ball of the foot, where your arch begins. And while this part of the bone, near the ball of the foot and near the part of the heel, will go heavily into the floor, the crown of all those arches are lifted up. They don't go to the floor. I should not teach 2 classes every week. One should be enough. Okay, watch me first. I would like you to sit near the wall, not necessarily touching the wall completely. Your shoulders can rest into the wall. Then we'll take 1 foot, and I want to create maximum space between all the toe lines by massaging here between the toes. So sit close to the wall. If you already did it on Thursday, do it better now. Because some people come to both classes. Let's begin with, see, there are 5 longitudinal arches, and there are at least 3 lateral arches. So if I look at the arch between my big toe and the, shall I call this index toe, in between those two, I want to massage the flesh in order to create space there, to bring it more life, both on the top as well as in the bottom of the foot. Massage all that, all the way to your heel, and perhaps even a little further towards the back of the heel. Now, as you're doing this fairly strongly, I hope, without hurting yourself, notice if you're hardening your eyes, ears, tongue, throat, jaws. Not necessary. Go to the next space between your index toe and the middle toe. Both on the top of the foot as well as under the foot. What happens with the feet affects the pelvis, and what happens to the pelvis has an effect on the rest of the body. So it's very important to keep good work on the feet. And the last space between your ring toe and the pinky toe. Notice as you do this that the strongest of all the 5 arches is the arch along the big toe, but it has got less flexibility. While the relatively very, I wouldn't say weak, but more flexible, softer arch is the one you are now working on. But it doesn't have much strength. So if I am to lift the top of the arch, I have much better sense of lifting the arch along the big toe line. On the small toe side, there isn't as much lift. And the part that you might remember was lifting the arch of the 4th toe, the what do you call this? The ring toe. And just generally massage the foot. Yeah, we are doing this for a few minutes. You might consider doing it for a good long period, 10-15 minutes, and then see the effect of that. Having massaged 1 foot like that, go to Tadasana. In Tadasana, stand preferably on the floor. Assuming your floor is not cold, stand on the floor and feel the difference between the two feet. The one that you massaged just now will feel much more alive. And there, spreading the toes means don't simply take the mind to the tip of the toes. Although we use the term spread the toes, the attempt to spread the toes begins in the ball of the foot, where the arch begins.
Can you press it down and
Loudly.
can you press the ball of the big toe down and then fan?
Spread the ball of the toes down. Don't push the toes themselves down. Toes should remain long. And if I remind you of what my teacher I have told you before, imagine there are 5 toes in your heels. Widen the heel also. Making all the springings where the arch springs from is the springing. Making the springing heavy, lift the arch itself up. Look at my foot. This is the arch of the big toe I'm talking about. But the arch has a thickness also. And this part of the arch, underneath that thickness, the top, is called the soffit of the arch. The top is called the crown of the arch. You don't want to lift the crown by itself. Attempt to lift the soffit of the arch, which means I take my mind underneath the part here and I attempt to create a height there. The arch of the 4th toe is the most important arch to lift. And there you lift I point a finger at the crown of that arch, but really the lift comes from underneath. You do not want the bones going down towards the floor. Only where the springing begins, which is at the ball of the foot and near the heel, there is a heaviness without shortening the foot. But the arches have to be lifted up. All right, I don't need to remind you there is a second foot. Sit back again. Insist with your mind, with your breath, insist that you'll make the foot wider and wider and wider. At the same time, make the ankle very narrow. From the ankle all the way to the top of the leg, attempt to bring the skin and the flesh very close to the bone without harming your breath. As much as you can, I'd like you to interlock your toes, just like you interlock your fingers, interlace the toes. As completely, as deeply as you can, without hurting your toes. And if I'm fortunate enough to be at your home, do not interlace your toes with mine. If you do that, chances are you will be in a lot of pain. Because as a young boy, I used my toes to hold a rope with my toes and climb up the tree. So the toes became very strong then. And having interlaced, see if you can stretch your feet forward. And release. Wiggle the toes around a little and go to the second side as it were. So if the right big toe was underneath the left big toe, this time take the right big toe above it. Keep the left leg very active. By that I mean make the left leg longer, widen the toes on the left foot without disturbing that left foot, left leg, bend the right knee to Baddha Konasana position, Janu Shirshasana position. The important thing to watch that when I bring my right foot back, the mind goes into the movement and I forget my left foot. So once again, both feet forward. Keep the left leg very active. Give more attention to the left leg so it doesn't move. Carefully take the right foot back. To move the right foot back doesn't require too much mental effort. So the mind should be fixed on what is not to change. Philosophically, we would say, find that which does not change at all and you have found God. Keeping the left leg like that, active, make sure the right knee is below the top of the thigh. The femur should be slanting down or be parallel to the floor. If not, you want to sit a little higher up. Without torquing the knee, keeping this closed, right knee closed, take the right heel up. Again, the knee should remain below the top of the thigh. If not, sit a little higher up. Put something under the pelvis. And those people who can sit like that, not with a broken toe, carefully, make your instep perpendicular to the floor. The instep is slanting back, meaning your heel is further back. Even with your body, like I'm now doing, watch if you want. I push my pelvis forward into that. I push the heel forward with that. As you are doing this, certainly don't tighten eyes, ears, tongue, throat, jaws, but there should be no pain in the knee. The idea physically, the idea behind doing this is to create much more openness of your hip joint. So if the toes hurt or the knee hurts, then you should not go that far. Back off. At the same time, for people who are able to approach this, your right hip bone tends to go back compared to the left. Both the hip bones should be equally forward, which means, if necessary, move the right knee forward. Without moving the right hip back, if you can take the knee back, that's fine. Watch me. I bend my left knee here and I attempt to bring the foot further and further forward this way. Okay? When I do that, it's the same action as in Virasana, which means the springing from my heel and my ball of the toes have to lift back. The soffit of the arch has to ground more, as though I'm taking the soffit to the crown of the arch. Make the ball of the foot and the heel heavy. So the arch is made as deep as possible by doing that. Take your right foot up, or let's work more correctly, otherwise Jerry will pick on me. Take the left foot up first. Stand facing the wall if that helps. With your hand, support the ball of the foot from the top of the foot. You are supporting the arch, top of the arch. Support the springing with your hand. And attempt to make the arch deeper and deeper and deeper by lifting the springings towards the wall, but the soffit away from the wall. Or springing towards the ceiling, soffit away from the ceiling. And once again, it doesn't matter how much you are able to do with your foot, but check your breath, check the eyes, ears, tongue, throat, and release. Go to the second side. Bending the right knee. As you take your toes towards the ceiling more, your attempt is to drop the heel towards the floor. Lift the springing from the hip. Yes. Activate that ankle as it were. As you take the ball of the foot more and more towards the ceiling first and then towards the wall, if you're facing the wall. At one of the conventions, I was seated this way, and a photographer took a photograph of this without showing my knees. And I remember somebody later claiming that these were two other people putting their feet in front of me. Now, if I sit like this and I decide that I'm going to go further, dropping my heel to the floor, my attention is firstly on my knee. Don't want to torque my knee to do that. Second is the ball of the big toe must remain joined. If those separate, I don't go any further. So I lift up and begin to go forward, watching my knee doesn't pain and my heels go down with the ball of the big toes connected. And then come out, separating the feet behind. This one. Standing near the wall in Tadasana, I take my left foot up. Make sure there is no torque in the knee, so I bend the knee as completely as I can. Then when I begin to go further with this pose, the movement is from the head of the femur. I'm not torquing the knee at all to do this. So I bring the heel as high up as I can towards my navel and then rotate the knee down. Okay? Rakshasana 2 position. But the whole movement of the knee coming down like this is the rotation of the head of the femur. It is not any torque of the knee. I take my right foot up. I'm showing you with my right foot for convenience. You will go on the left side first. Okay? So you go like this. Then you lie down this way. And slowly push the wall. So the right, my left knee here, in your case will be right knee, becomes straight. You're in this position. You can take a support for the head or you can put your head on your hand. Either way is fine. Here again, if I'm not careful to bring the right knee back in line of the left knee, I don't want to arch my back. I'm tucking my pelvis as I do this. And to come out, you can simply roll out this way. So this knee has to stay back. So, and Andrea should do this more often to relieve her back. So not only the knee, if you are using a mat here, the bent knee is in the center of the mat. The straight leg is in that line of the center of the mat. You have to tuck the pelvis. Your shoulder is on that same center line. Your elbow is on the same center line. And then you are doing a back bend in the lumbar. Remove that back bend. Tuck. And tuck and tuck and tuck again.